Much was made earlier in the season when Bucs head coach Bruce Arians criticized Tom Brady after losses. We all heard it. He was asked about those comments earlier this week.
I just answer questions honestly. If somebody asks me why he threw an interception, I'll tell them the truth. That is not calling him out. That's just answering a question honestly. I really don't know any other way. Tom and I've had a great relationship since day one, and it's just gotten better and better. And he wants to be coached hard. Just because of that, other people do things differently. But he knew what he was getting into when he joined this one.
He knew what he was getting into, Max Kellerman. Max, talk to me. Do you think all the criticism Arians put out there publicly about Brady was overblown during the season?
Yes, and more importantly, misunderstood. Although I have to say something about what Arians just said.
Okay.
That's a lie. He doesn't just answer the questions honestly, and this is what I mean. When he answers it honestly, when it's in service to the team. When he believes it's going to help the team, he answers it honestly. So Tom Brady gets there. Right away, they lose to Drew Brees and the Saints. Drew Brees didn't look great either, but, COVID, no practice, and Brady's in a new situation. Brady didn't look good. So he's asked about Brady's play. And I think pointedly, Arians was showing his team, the GOAT, the great Tom Brady, who's expected to do great things with this stacked team this year. Watch this, everybody. I get a question about Tom Brady's play. I'm going to say he messed up here, here, and here. He even gave credit to Brady for messing up where Brady didn't mess up. He had to walk one criticism back the next day after he looked at film. So he was being honest there because it suited his interest, which is to make the Bucs as good as possible, to show them that he's going to hold Tom Brady to account. And everyone's talking about, you can't do that to Tom Brady. In fact, Tom Brady knows what it is. He responded to it. The Bucs got better after that criticism. Then remember the game in Chicago where they lost and Brady forgot the number of downs, right? He thought it was a mental error after he chewed out his offensive line. Arians covered for him at that press conference. He didn't tell the truth at that press conference. And once Arians covered for him, when Tom Brady was asked about it, he also didn't admit that he just forgot what down it was. He didn't admit it because the coach had got his back. He called Tom Brady out when it was the right thing to do, but he also got his back and covered for him when it was the right thing to do. And both times, the Bucs responded. They responded. Brady responded. The whole team responded positively, both when he called him out and when he covered for him. And then it happened again after the Saints game, the rematch where they lost. And they looked worse than in the first game. And that worked too. What Arians has shown throughout the course of the season was knowing what buttons to press. So it was misunderstood that oh my God, he's criticizing Tom Brady. Sometimes he criticized him, sometimes he covered for him, but he understood when to do which. And that was the real story to me this year.
Well, when he criticized him after the loss to the Rams, he came back the next week and lost to the Kansas City Chiefs. No crime there, but it wasn't like they immediately fixed whatever errors were going on. And I don't think it was overblown because I think at the time, some of the things that Bruce Arians would say was unnecessary. Now, I will openly confess that I'm partial to Bruce Arians. I like his style. I think he's a cool dude. Obviously, he's wise. He's knowledgeable about the sport of football. He's an offensive coordinator in Pittsburgh. He coached Big Ben Roethlisberger. He coached Antonio Brown. He hasn't been shy about talking about the short leash that Antonio Brown would be on if he brought his shenanigans to Tampa. We've seen a lot of things that Bruce Arians has said. And more importantly, we have to applaud him because of his staff. In an age where diversity is clearly still an issue in the sport of football, collegiately and professionally, where we're talking about the paucity of African Americans coaching, this man has 4 black dudes. You got an offensive coordinator who's black, a defensive coordinator is black. You got a lead assistant who is black. You got a special teams coordinator who is black. Nobody else in the National Football League can say that, but Bruce Arians can say that. And the opportunities that are going to come the way of African Americans in the future, Bruce Arians is going to be one of those individuals that's going to be given a lot of credit because he has shined a light on the capabilities that we all know black men have had that have gone largely unnoticed by some folks within the National Football League, to say the least. Having said all of that, it doesn't mean he's perfect. It doesn't mean that at times that he didn't say stuff that he didn't need to be saying, because you never knew how that was going to end up. Tom Brady could take it, and Tom Brady wasn't going to snap back at him publicly or anything like that. but Bruce Arians was not Bill Belichick. Bruce Arians didn't have 6 Super Bowl championships and 9 trips to the Super Bowl as a head coach, along with 2 additional championships as a coordinator to point to as a resume to justify how he was coming at a champion the way that he was, with some of the things that he was willing to say in terms of what Tom Brady missed, what Tom Brady didn't do right, et cetera, et cetera. So I don't think it was overblown. I think it was pointed out at the appropriate time. It needed to be pointed out. Nobody held on to it for weeks or months at a time. But in the moment, as it happened, it did take you aback and say, damn, he said that? I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with it, and I don't think that was overblowing it.
Well, I think even if you want to give Tom Brady credit, which he deserves, for setting the culture, for changing things, because I think everyone would acknowledge, just cut Jameis Winston's interceptions in half from last year, and the Bucs are going to win at least 9 or 10 games. Brady gave him a premium over that, because that doesn't mean just cut his interceptions in half and put any, competent quarterback in, they'll be in the Super Bowl. So even if you want to give Brady credit for the leadership and the culture change, you also have to give Arians credit for understanding how much to back off and let Brady do his thing. But they brought in Gronk. That's a Brady call, obviously. Even Antonio Brown, I think most people interpreted Arians didn't want him. Brady wanted him, so he was there. Offense a little bit different, more of a Tom Brady offense as the year went on. But Arians deserves credit for that, too. He understood how much to take his hands off of it and give it to Tom Brady. And the part that I'm talking about, Stephen A., that's misunderstood is people talked about Arians is calling Brady out. And Arians saying, is not even being fully honest. No, I'm just answering honestly. No. He had a very good sense, and this is very important and underrated with a head coach. It's not just X's and O's. It's a good sense of what buttons to push, who to push him on, when you need to get a guy's back, when you need to hold him accountable to the team, even publicly. And you're not in a Super Bowl by accident. Arians did an excellent job handling. It's like an embarrassment of riches, and now you have Tom Brady. But that could have gone sideways. It didn't, and he deserves credit.
And I'm saying it's easy to say that now because he's in the Super Bowl. Prior to the Super Bowl, we had a wait-and-see attitude because we certainly weren't knocking what he had said at the time. We had been critical about it to some degree, but we didn't overblow it, is the point. What he said was relevant. It was pertinent. We might have questioned it, but it certainly raised a few eyebrows. It was not overblown.
Yeah. Bruce Arians, the real deal. All I got to say, whatever they're doing in their relationship communication, it's working because they're in the Super Bowl in Tampa, the first time in the home stadium. Fellas, we will leave it there. How about a little NBA talk when we return? Is LeBron guaranteed to repeat with the Lakers this year? Yep, we're going there on First Take. Stay with us. And we honor HBCU.